Welcome back to our channel. Today we dive into the wild and untamed life of Ronnie VanZant, the scariest frontman in rock and roll history. Known for his electrifying stage presence, fiery temper, and rebellious spirit, VanZant led Lynyrd Skynyrd to legendary status while carving his name into the annals of Southern rock. From his tumultuous childhood to his meteoric rise to fame, his fiery feuds, and the heartbreaking plane crash that sealed his fate, VanZant's story is nothing short of legendary. Stick around as we unravel the life and legacy of this rock and roll icon. Ronnie VanZant, born as Ronald Wayne VanZant in 1948 in Jacksonville, Florida, a city that would become the breeding ground for his musical legacy. Born to Lacey VanZant, a truck driver with a surprising past as a prizefighter, Ronnie grew up in an environment that demanded both resilience and strength. Lacey ensured that all his children learned how to take and throw a punch, instilling in Ronnie the grit and toughness that would later define his larger-than-life persona. Life on the road with his father wasn't just about long hours in a truck. It was where Ronnie's musical spark first ignited. Riding shotgun, he absorbed the country, blues, and early rock and roll that poured from the radio, sparking a fascination that would shape his future. These formative years weren't spent in the quiet of a suburban home, but on highways, in diners, and surrounded by the stories of working-class America. It was here that Ronnie began to form his own identity, one deeply tied to the raw and authentic spirit of Southern culture. At just 16, Ronnie VanZant was already chasing a dream that seemed larger than life. He boldly stepped into the role of lead singer for his first band, aptly named Us. Though the group's time together was short-lived, it became a crucial starting point for Ronnie's journey to becoming a frontman who would one day command the world's stages. For Ronnie, failure wasn't an option. It was a lesson. When Us disbanded, he didn't let it slow him down. Determined to keep the music alive, Ronnie rallied a new group of like-minded young musicians. Together with Bob Burns, Gary Rossington, Alan Collins, and Larry Junstrom, he formed a new band called My Backyard. What set this group apart wasn't just their talent, but the instant chemistry they shared, a spark that turned casual jam sessions into something far greater. This wasn't just another teenage band tinkering with instruments in someone's garage. It was the seed of something extraordinary. Their sound, raw and unpolished, reflected the rebellious energy of their Southern roots, while their shared vision drove them to push beyond their limitations. The bandmates spent countless hours practicing, often in less than ideal conditions, fueled by an unyielding belief in their potential. As the group grew tighter, their name evolved to the Noble Five, signaling their rising ambitions. But the transformation didn't stop there. Through endless trial and error, they refined their identity, ultimately becoming the legendary Lynyrd Skynyrd. Their humble beginnings may not have been glamorous, rehearsing in cramped spaces, borrowing equipment, and performing for gas money. But their perseverance laid the foundation for their rise to global fame. These early days weren't just about music. They were about forging a brotherhood. Ronnie's leadership played a pivotal role in shaping the band's trajectory. He pushed his bandmates to strive for more, reminding them that their collective dream was worth every hardship. What started as My Backyard became a living testament to hard work, resilience, and the power of shared ambition. Ronnie's childhood wasn't just a backdrop. It was the crucible that forged the man who would later become a rock and roll legend. From the rough and tumble lessons of his father to the endless inspiration found on the open road, every moment played a role in shaping the fearless, passionate frontman the world would come to know. While Ronnie's career was taking shape, his personal life was also evolving, marked by love, loss, and resilience. As Ronnie's career began to take shape, his personal life also unfolded, marked by both love and challenges. Ronnie VanZant's personal life was as intricate and layered as his music, a dynamic blend of passion, turbulence, and unwavering connections that deeply influenced the man behind the mic. His first steps into family life began in January 1967, when he married Nadine Insko. This union marked what seemed to be a shift towards stability for the ambitious young musician. The couple soon welcomed a daughter, Tammy, into their lives, creating a brief window of domestic tranquility amidst Ronnie's whirlwind journey toward rock stardom. However, as idyllic as it may have seemed, balancing the demands of family life with the relentless drive of a rising artist proved to be an uphill battle. Ronnie's dedication to his craft often pulled him away from home, leaving little room for the nurturing of a young marriage. While Tammy's arrival brought moments of joy, the mounting pressures of his career eventually strained their relationship beyond repair. By 1969, Ronnie and Nadine's marriage had come to an end, signaling a pivotal moment in Ronnie's personal journey, a reflection of the sacrifices he was willing to make to pursue his dream. Ronnie's younger sister, who witnessed the challenges of his first marriage, later remarked, "Ronnie loved his family, but his heart was always on stage." It was hard for Nadine to compete with his passion for music. Her words underscored the bittersweet reality of Ronnie's dual commitments, his devotion to his art and his desire for a stable home life. Despite the heartbreak of divorce, Ronnie's resilient nature shone through. Not long after parting ways with Nadine, he found love again, this time with Judy Seymour. Judy would go on to become not just his wife, but his anchor during some of the most tumultuous and defining years of his life. Their connection was instant, and it wasn't long before they started building a family of their own. Welcoming a child together, Judy brought stability to Ronnie's often chaotic world, becoming a partner who understood the demands of fame and the complexities of his character. Lynyrd VanZant, Ronnie's father, had warm words for Judy, saying, "Judy was a rock for Ronnie. She knew how to handle his fiery temperament and never let him lose sight of who he was." This sentiment highlighted the critical role Judy played in Ronnie's life, not just as a supportive wife, but as someone who helped him navigate the highs and lows of his fame. Judy's role in Ronnie's life extended far beyond that of a supportive spouse. She became a witness to his genius, a steady presence during his most volatile moments, and a partner who could weather the highs and lows of his rock and roll lifestyle. Through the challenges of endless touring, creative pressures, and Ronnie's fiery temperament, Judy stood by him, a testament to the depth of their bond. Their marriage endured until Ronnie's tragic death, solidifying her place not only as a crucial figure in his personal life, but as a pillar of his legacy. Judy's unwavering support allowed Ronnie to channel his energy into his music, making her an unspoken part of Lynyrd Skynyrd's journey to greatness. Beneath Ronnie's bold, rebellious stage persona lay a man who, like anyone, craved connection and love. His family life, often overshadowed by his towering reputation, revealed a side of him that fans rarely glimpsed. A man of complexity who valued the bonds that grounded him. These relationships, though imperfect, brought depth and humanity to his story, reminding us that even the scariest frontmen in rock and roll are shaped by the people closest to them. Ronnie's journey through love and loss wasn't just a backdrop to his music. It was a vital piece of the puzzle that made him the icon he became. Ronnie VanZant's journey to rock and roll immortality began with a small group of young dreamers playing in their parents' homes under the name My Backyard. This early incarnation of the band was more than just a gathering of friends. It was the foundation of a sound that would one day revolutionize Southern rock. Ronnie, with his raw charisma and unyielding vision, led the group through its early days with a relentless determination to create music that resonated with their Southern roots and rebellious spirit. As the band evolved, so did their identity. Yet, these were still formative years filled with experimentation both in sound and persona. They tried on edgy and provocative names like Wildcats, the Sons of Satan, and even Conqueror Worm, each reflecting their youthful ambition and desire to stand out in a sea of aspiring rock bands. Rehearsals during this time were anything but glamorous. The band used their parents' homes as practice spaces, pushing the patience of neighbors with their loud, unpolished sound. Noise complaints were a regular occurrence, and the police were often called to intervene. But these disruptions didn't deter them. If anything, they fueled their drive to keep playing. Recognizing the need for a dedicated space, Ronnie's father Lacey stepped in to support his son's dream. With his help, the band found a new home for their rehearsals, an isolated, run-down farmhouse on the outskirts of town. They dubbed it Hell House, a name that reflected its sweltering heat and humble state. Hell House wasn't just a rehearsal space. It was a crucible where dreams were forged and tempers flared. The rundown farmhouse on the outskirts of town was notorious for its sweltering heat and buzzing mosquitoes, but to Ronnie VanZant and his bandmates, it was a sanctuary. They often joked that the walls of Hell House had heard it all, from the blistering guitar riffs that would later define Southern rock to the heated arguments over how a song should sound. One story that band members loved to share was how Ronnie would walk in after a long night and insist on a do-or-die session. "We're not leaving until we nail it," he'd say, standing in the middle of the cramped room, sweat dripping from his brow. His intensity pushed the band to their limits, but it also brought out their best. On one particularly humid night, when the air was so thick it felt like it was suffocating them, Ronnie challenged everyone to play a track flawlessly 3 times in a row. By the third attempt, exhaustion had set in, but the band delivered a performance so tight and electric that Ronnie broke into a rare grin, declaring, "That's the sound of Lynyrd Skynyrd." Hell House wasn't just where they honed their craft. It was where they became a brotherhood. The shared struggles of long hours, broken strings, and endless retakes bonded them in a way few outsiders could understand. These moments of camaraderie weren't glamorous, but they were pivotal in shaping Lynyrd Skynyrd's identity as a band that thrived on grit and authenticity. Despite the less than ideal conditions, Hell House became a sanctuary where the band could focus on crafting their sound. It was here, away from prying eyes and suburban complaints, that their music truly took shape. These early days were marked by trial and error, not just musically, but also in defining their identity. While their sound matured, the band continued experimenting with names, trying to find one that captured their rebellious energy. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source: their high school gym teacher, Lynyrd Skynyrd, who was infamous for enforcing strict dress codes, particularly against long hair. As a cheeky act of defiance, the band adopted the name Lynyrd Skynyrd, a playful jab at the man who once tried to stifle their individuality. It was a name that would become synonymous with Southern rock, but at this stage it was also a symbol of their spirit, a blend of humor, rebellion, and resilience. From their humble beginnings as My Backyard to the moment they christened themselves Lynyrd Skynyrd, these early years were a testament to their unwavering dedication and ability to turn obstacles into opportunities. Ronnie VanZant wasn't just the voice of Lynyrd Skynyrd. He was the driving force behind the band's relentless pursuit of greatness. Known for his no-nonsense attitude, Ronnie pushed his bandmates to exceed their limits, demanding nothing less than their absolute best. In the sweltering heat of Hell House, where the band spent countless hours rehearsing, Ronnie's leadership was on full display. He had an uncanny ability to recognize each member's strengths and challenge them to hone their skills, creating a dynamic that transformed a group of small-town musicians into a well-oiled rock and roll powerhouse. His approach was tough but fair. Ronnie had a vision for Lynyrd Skynyrd and wasn't afraid to hold his bandmates accountable to achieve it. Whether it was perfecting a guitar riff or nailing the harmony in a chorus, he led by example, working as hard as anyone in the room. Band members later reflected on how Ronnie's determination and belief in their potential inspired them to rise above their struggles, both on and off the stage. His leadership wasn't just about music. It was about building a brotherhood, one that thrived on trust, discipline, and a shared dream of leaving a mark on the world. By 1973, years of relentless practice and determination paid off when Lynyrd Skynyrd finally caught the attention of MCA Records. This was the break they had been waiting for, a chance to bring their music to the world. With their unique sound, a blend of Southern grit and British rock sophistication, the band signed a deal that would set them on the path to becoming legends. Their self-titled debut album hit shelves the same year, and it didn't take long for it to make waves. The album delivered one hit after another, but none resonated more deeply than Freebird. The track became an anthem for freedom and individuality, with its soaring guitar solos and heartfelt lyrics leaving an indelible mark on rock history. It wasn't just a song, it was a statement, a testament to the band's raw talent and emotional depth. Lynyrd Skynyrd's rise wasn't just about their music. It was also about their larger-than-life frontman, Ronnie VanZant. On stage, Ronnie exuded a magnetic energy that captivated audiences. His presence was electrifying, a mix of charisma and intensity that made every performance unforgettable. One of his most iconic trademarks was performing barefoot, an unexpected but deliberate choice that reflected his unpretentious nature and deep connection to his roots. The band's authenticity was another cornerstone of their success. Unlike many rock acts of the time, Lynyrd Skynyrd embraced their Southern identity unapologetically. Their lyrics often told stories of working-class struggles, family values, and life in the American South, resonating with fans who saw themselves reflected in the music. At the same time, their polished sound drew inspiration from the British invasion, creating a unique fusion that appealed to a wide audience. As Lynyrd Skynyrd took the stage across the country, their reputation grew exponentially. They weren't just another Southern rock band. They were a force to be reckoned with, delivering unforgettable performances that left fans in awe. Their rise to fame was fueled by their ability to connect with audiences on a personal level, making their music not just a soundtrack, but a shared experience. During a late-night road trip in the early 1970s, Lynyrd Skynyrd stopped at a small diner in rural Georgia. Exhausted from a long day of traveling between gigs, the band was looking for a quick bite before hitting the road again. The diner was nearly empty, except for a jukebox humming softly in the corner and a handful of locals nursing their coffee. As the band sat down, one of the locals recognized Ronnie VanZant and began raving about how much he loved their music. Encouraged by his enthusiasm, the man blurted out, "I bet you can't sing Freebird as good without a stage." Ronnie, never one to back down from a challenge, smirked and stood up. "Oh, we'll see about that," he said, with his signature confidence. He called over Gary Rossington and Alan Collins, who grabbed their acoustic guitars from the van. Without any microphones, amps, or fanfare, Ronnie launched into a raw, stripped-down version of Freebird right there in the diner. The other patrons sat mesmerized as Ronnie's voice echoed through the small space, every note dripping with the emotion and power that had made the song a hit. Even the waitress stopped in her tracks, holding a pot of coffee mid-pour as she listened in awe. By the time the band reached the song's iconic crescendo, the entire diner had erupted into applause, shouting for an encore. The impromptu performance became one of those stories that locals shared for years. An unforgettable moment when a group of rising rock stars proved that their magic wasn't just about stages or spotlights. For Ronnie, it was just another night, another chance to remind people why Lynyrd Skynyrd wasn't just a band, but a force of nature. The release of their debut album marked the beginning of an incredible journey. From small-town musicians practicing in Hell House to becoming global icons, Lynyrd Skynyrd's ascent was a testament to their hard work, resilience, and undeniable talent. And at the center of it all was Ronnie VanZant, a frontman whose voice and presence would forever echo in the annals of rock history. Ronnie VanZant's fiery personality was both his greatest strength and a source of tension within the band. On one occasion, during a particularly heated rehearsal at Hell House, Ronnie called out a bandmate for repeatedly missing a chord. "If you're not here to give 110%, you're wasting my time," he snapped. While his words stung, they also set the standard for excellence that drove the band to greatness. One of the most infamous feuds outside the band was with Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. After defying Jagger's strict rule not to perform on the iconic tongue-shaped stage at the Nebworth Festival, Ronnie solidified his reputation as a frontman who refused to play by anyone's rules. Fans and critics alike marveled at his audacity, while the incident became legendary in rock history. But it wasn't just internal conflicts that fueled VanZant's reputation. One of the most talked about moments in Ronnie VanZant's storied career was his infamous feud with Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones, a rivalry fueled by rebellion and defiance. The incident took place in 1976 at the Nebworth Festival, where Lynyrd Skynyrd had the honor of opening for the Stones. The stage, shaped like the Rolling Stones' iconic logo, a massive mouth with a tongue sticking out, was as grandiose as the headlining act. However, Jagger reportedly laid down a strict rule: no one but the Stones was to perform on the tongue-shaped platform. For most bands, the instruction would have been easy to follow. But for Ronnie VanZant, it was a challenge he couldn't resist. Known for his defiance of authority, Ronnie saw the restriction as an opportunity to make a statement. With his characteristic swagger, he led his bandmates onto the forbidden tongue stage during their set with the kind of fire and intensity that had become his trademark. The audience erupted into thunderous applause. Fans were in awe of the audacity and confidence it took to defy one of the biggest bands in the world on their own stage. The performance wasn't just a musical moment. It was a declaration of Lynyrd Skynyrd's place in the pantheon of rock legends. However, while the crowd celebrated, the Stones camp was less impressed. The stunt reportedly burned bridges between the two bands, ensuring that Lynyrd Skynyrd would never share the stage with the Rolling Stones again. News of the defiant act spread like wildfire, with media outlets framing the event as a David and Goliath story in the world of rock and roll. Some praised Ronnie for his fearless authenticity, while others criticized him for being reckless and disrespectful. Either way, the headline cemented VanZant's reputation as a rock and roll outlaw who played by his own rules. For fans, the moment became iconic. Letters flooded into music magazines, with supporters lauding Ronnie as a symbol of rebellion and authenticity in an era where rock and roll was becoming increasingly commercialized. Concert-goers who witnessed the moment firsthand shared their stories for years, describing how the energy in the crowd was electrifying, a once-in-a-lifetime event that solidified their loyalty to Lynyrd Skynyrd. The Knebworth incident was more than just a bold move. It encapsulated the essence of Ronnie VanZant. He wasn't just a performer, he was a fearless leader who refused to compromise his principles, even when faced with rock royalty. This fearlessness resonated deeply with fans, many of whom admired his ability to stand his ground in a world dominated by larger-than-life figures like Jagger. While the confrontation may have ruffled feathers in the Rolling Stones camp, it only added to the mystique surrounding Ronnie. He wasn't interested in towing the line or currying favor with anyone. Instead, he carved his own path, inspiring fans with his unfiltered personality and unwavering commitment to his craft. Ultimately, this act of defiance became a defining moment in Lynyrd Skynyrd's history, a reminder that the band, under Ronnie's leadership, was never content to stand in the shadows of others. They were there to make their mark, and they did so with unapologetic intensity. Ronnie VanZant was a man of many talents and one haunting prediction. Throughout his life, he often told friends and family that he would never live to see his 30th birthday. His eerie prophecy became an uncomfortable refrain, but those closest to him dismissed it as the musings of a passionate artist. Tragically, his words would prove devastatingly accurate. October 20th, 1977 began like any other day for Lynyrd Skynyrd, a band on the cusp of even greater success. They boarded their private plane, ready to travel to their next performance in Louisiana, unaware that this journey would be their last together. Somewhere over the skies of Mississippi, the unimaginable happened. The plane ran out of fuel. What was meant to be a routine flight turned into a nightmare as the pilot alerted the passengers to brace for impact. Panic and fear filled the cabin as the aircraft plummeted toward the earth. The chaos was brief but devastating. The plane struck a tree, and Ronnie VanZant, the fearless frontman who had led the band to legendary status, was killed instantly. He was just 29 years old, tragically falling short of his 30th birthday by a mere 87 days, a haunting fulfillment of his own repeated prediction that he wouldn't live to see 30. The crash wasn't just a singular loss. It claimed the lives of others who were central to the Lynyrd Skynyrd family. Guitarist Steve Gaines, a key figure in shaping the band's sound, and his sister, backup vocalist Cassie Gaines, also perished in the disaster. The remaining members of the band were left to grapple with serious injuries, both physical and emotional, as they faced the devastating reality of losing their friends, bandmates, and leader. The shockwaves from this tragedy reverberated far beyond the band. Fans, fellow musicians, and the entire music industry were left in mourning. Ronnie VanZant wasn't just a frontman, he was the heart and soul of Lynyrd Skynyrd, a visionary who had shaped the band's identity and taken Southern rock to global heights. His loss was felt on a deeply personal level by those who knew him, and on a monumental scale by the legions of fans who admired him. For Lynyrd Skynyrd, this moment marked the end of an era. The band, which had risen from humble beginnings to worldwide fame, was suddenly silenced. The tragedy also highlighted the fragility of life, even for those who seem larger than it. Ronnie's charisma, talent, and unmistakable voice were gone in an instant, but the legacy he left behind would endure forever. The story of that day remains one of the most poignant and heartbreaking chapters in rock and roll history. It serves as a somber reminder of the fleeting nature of life, but also as a testament to the enduring power of music to transcend even the greatest of losses. Despite his untimely death, Ronnie VanZant's legacy didn't end with the crash. In fact, his impact on music and culture only grew stronger. A decade after the tragedy, Lynyrd Skynyrd reunited with Ronnie's younger brother Johnny VanZant, stepping into his late brother's role as lead vocalist. It was a poignant and heartfelt continuation of the band's story, with Johnny honoring Ronnie's memory while bringing his own unique energy to the stage. Ronnie VanZant's story was filled with triumphs and tragedies during his life, but even in death, controversy found its way into his legacy. In 2000, over 2 decades after his untimely passing, an incident occurred that shocked fans and family alike. Vandals broke into Ronnie's tomb and desecrated his final resting place, exhuming his remains in a stunning and deeply disrespectful act. This violation was not only a grave offense against Ronnie's memory, but also a devastating blow to his loved ones, who had worked tirelessly to preserve his legacy. For the VanZant family, the tomb was more than just a burial site. It was a sacred space symbolizing closure, a place where they could honor the life of a man who had touched millions with his music. The act of vandalism tore open old wounds, reigniting the pain of losing a son, a husband, and a father far too soon. In the wake of this shocking event, Ronnie's family was left with no choice but to relocate his body to a more secure and undisclosed location. This heartbreaking decision added yet another layer of tragedy to the already complex story of his life and death. It was a reminder of the duality of fame. While it immortalizes legends like Ronnie VanZant, it can also attract those who exploit that legacy in the most disturbing ways. For fans, the desecration was a stark reminder of the fragility of even the most revered figures in rock history. It served as a call to protect and respect the legacies of icons like Ronnie, whose music continues to inspire generations. The incident became another chapter in the lore surrounding Ronnie VanZant, a man whose story seemed destined to be as tumultuous and extraordinary in death as it was in life. Ronnie VanZant's music remains a cornerstone of rock history, with tracks like Freebird and Sweet Home Alabama transcending generations. These songs have not only been embraced as anthems of Southern rock, but have also found their place in movies, TV shows, and live performances worldwide. Younger artists often cite Lynyrd Skynyrd as a major influence, proving that Ronnie's fearless artistry continues to shape the future of music. Ronnie's death marked the end of an era, but his influence endures, a reminder that even the brightest flames, though fleeting, can leave an everlasting light. And that's the story of Ronnie VanZant, the scariest frontman in rock and roll. His fearless attitude, powerful voice, and unforgettable presence continue to inspire generations of music lovers. Though his life was cut tragically short, his spirit lives on through the timeless music of Lynyrd Skynyrd and the indelible mark he left on the world of rock. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of rock legends. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.